behind. And in broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in Southern California, and in parallel from the Turf's Up radio studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks for tuning in to the Water Zone show this evening.
Good afternoon and welcome into the Water Zone. Thanks for tuning in today. And I just want to clarify one thing. If any of you listened to our show last week, you might have thought we switched to a different kind of platform. You had rap music being played. It wasn't our type to play, but we had a connection problem between us and the studio, and we couldn't resolve it. And so they were supposed to make some announcements about it, and I know a couple of people were hanging on for 10, 15 minutes, and then I started getting tons of emails. What's happening? Where are you guys? But we're here. And we got everything all fixed as far as I understand, and I see we're broadcasting, so welcome, and hope everybody's having a great time no matter where you're calling in from. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and we're ready to rock. And I have our two famous WOW ladies here, Miss Tara Malali and Miss Chris Austin, and we're going to have a great show. So Chris Austin is in Northern California, and where should I classify you as Oxnard? What do you want me to call that?
Ventura County's fine. I feel like that's more accurate.
Yeah, yes, it is. So how's everybody doing? How's the weather there? It's beautiful out here. A little warm out in the Phoenix area, but we're enjoying
How
that.
warm is it, Rob? How warm?
108.
Yeah. Now, Tara, you're at what? 70? Oh gosh, you're just getting over 70 degrees. Woo! No, actually, it's always lovely in Ventura. It's great there. It's saying this weekend it's going to be 76. I don't know what we'll do. We might pass out from the heat. It may happen.
Well, you got what's nice about your territory. You got lots of agriculture, so you have good veggies, and
Absolutely.
you got seafood all over the place. So that's pretty good.
And they have like the best strawberries in the nation. I mean,
we do have the California Strawberry Festival, and yes, the strawberries do live up to expectation. I have to say.
Yes, they're fabulous. So
that's a good thing.
But our raspberries are coming in hot too. Like that's coming in really high, and then the avocados. Those are like kind of our three.
Ooh, avocados, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's pretty amazing. I get to go to my farmer's market and get what everybody else waits to have shipped to them.
So what's going on in the world of water?
Well, we're all waiting now for the Bureau of Reclamation to officially release its plan for the Colorado River. And apparently it's been leaked, I guess. Ian James at the Los Angeles Times says that under the plan that's going to come out, Arizona will take 31% less and California will take 12% less and Nevada 28%. But, Nevada's take from the Colorado is so small, it's essentially meaningless. They could give it all up and it wouldn't make a darn bit of difference to the situation. But they are in there and they are part of the negotiations and they're very earnest about it and that's good for them. So, but anyways, that's what it's looking at. I have a feeling that more is going to be needed, especially if the hydrology does not improve. But that seems to be the numbers that are coming out. 31%. That's like that's a bit. That's quite a chunk. if your boss told you tomorrow you got 31% less income, you would be making some changes. So
Absolutely.
but we'll see what comes out on this week. I guess it hasn't come out today. It'll be tomorrow, probably 11 a.m. I imagine. We'll see.
Well,
So let's talk about wine for a sec, because the wine thing is like,
you can buy wine cheap.
Yeah, except for no, you can't, because they won't let you. They just would rather have them rot on the vine.
Or burn it down.
Or burn it.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't have it. No one can. But I feel like one of the things that I don't know that people realize is that farmers don't set the price. The grocery stores set the price.
Right.
And they look at what's available in other countries and they go, we're going to pay, for this year, we're going to pay 70 cents a lemon, right? Or 70 cents an avocado. And farmers just have to go, okay, that's what we get paid per item. And I think a lot of people think that farmers decide, they're like, I'm going to sell my avocados for $2. Except for if you don't listen to the grocery stores, you're not selling any avocados for any price. So one of the things that we really struggle with, especially supporting local agriculture, which I know a lot of people do, is the idea that grocery stores kind of don't support local agriculture. They're looking for the least expensive product so that their customers can get the least expensive product. And we advertise, this is the cheapest, this is the sale, this is the whatever. And so other countries can produce these things because there's fewer regulations, there's fewer labor laws, there's fewer of all the good things that we do kind of in the United States, and other countries don't necessarily do those things. And so our farmers get caught in that crossfire a lot of the time. And the idea that, I may, like it was like, they'd rather burn it, but truthfully, they kind of have to. Otherwise, they're just not going to be in business for very much longer. And we want to save that, if we want California to be known for, the winemaking capital of the West Coast, right? We've got to figure out a way to solve that issue kind of together. I think if we just leave it on, again, everybody individually, I don't know that it's going to be saved.
Well, part of the problem is that youngsters aren't drinking wine as much as, other people.
IPA beer.
Yeah, and seltzers, and I mean they're kind of turning away from a lot of stuff that we're used to,
Yeah, they'd rather have a Zima.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to be changing with the times. Plus, we have groundwater management, and we have to manage the groundwater. And that means that, farmers have to make some tough decisions. But, they kind of, we have to manage groundwater. Otherwise, we deplete our aquifers and everybody loses if we suck them completely dry. So, we have to manage them. But it's, it must be very hard to be a farmer. I mean, well, no doubt it is. There's a new report out this week about, how Sigma is affecting small-scale farmers. And I did not have a chance to dive into it too much this week, but we are having a webinar with the authors of the report on August 4th. I believe that's Tuesday. Yeah. So I'll be hosting that webinar. So, if you're interested in hearing about that, then drop me an email at mavensnotebook.com, and I'll send you a link to register. But yeah, it's not easy being a farmer, no doubt.
How long is that going to be? An hour?
1 hour. 1 hour, 12 to 1 p.m.
Are you recording it?
Yes, yeah. It'll be on my YouTube channel where I have...
If I could get a copy of that, maybe we play part of that on one of the shows. So,
or you know what, we'll bring in the authors. They'd love to talk with you.
absolutely.
Sure.
Good. Yeah, I look back a couple of years when everybody was complaining about the almond growers, how much water they use and everything else, and the almonds people got together with some universities like Davis and some other ones to work on how can they keep growing the almonds and keep their orchards going. And I think they've done pretty well about conserving water. Do you think the wine? I got to believe the wine people are doing the same thing. They got to be going to get some help.
Yeah, I'm the issue with pulling up the grapevine. I don't think is solely on water. I think it's on like
Sales?
a glut of grapes and a glut of wine that's not being sold. And I mean, the farmer's burning his field. He's not burning it because he doesn't want you to have it. He's burning it because it's economically it's done. It would cost more to harvest it than to just and maybe he needs to make some changes because the sales aren't there.
I wonder if they can find alternative crops to.
Speaking of alternatives, last week there was a story about how agave is becoming quite a crop, and I drove down to Paso Robles to visit my grandbaby last weekend, and I drove down through part of the San Joaquin Valley, and I saw actually quite a few places where they were growing agave. Fields of agave, and uses very little water, and so that's one thing people are starting to look at is as a potential.
I read that article. That was really interesting, and I didn't know that there's different types. A lot of them are grown in Mexico, but then your article mentioned a bunch of other different varieties that they're doing here in the States. Sounded pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, so farmers, they're business people. They got to figure out how to make it work, and so they do. They're changing crops, but also we have this big news about the cyclospora outbreak that's happening across the country in some areas. Nothing is no California produce is implicated in that, so we're in good shape out here, but that's they trace that, I guess, to some produce coming in from Mexico. Yeah. Which circles back to what Tara was saying about the different rules when the stuff comes in from different countries. So
wasn't the growers looking at a lawsuit against somebody for saying a bunch of stuff like that, and that they started it or they couldn't find it or whatever? I thought that was part of that.
Well, yeah. There's been some political stuff, up at the top levels of stuff, but I don't really want to get into that.
No, okay.
But yeah, there's been some funny stuff on there, and I do think that the cuts that were made to the Department of Agriculture. In their food safety programs and, all of their programs, really. I mean, this is, I think this is, to me, it's not surprising. But
do you ladies remember a couple of years ago, Chipotle had a problem? And
how can you forget the Chipotle issue?
Yeah, but then when it started cropping up, I hate to use that term, but cropping up in different places in the United States, they had different suppliers, so it wasn't just one vendor, who was giving the bad stuff to. And then you wonder, how do they clean it? How do they process the veggies?
Well, they just use dirty water and just put it. No, I'm kidding. No, it's usually a highly processed. I say highly processed process. That's horrible, but it is a highly processed interaction. So these things are not super. I mean, it's impossible to do the volume that we're talking about without having some form of machinery involved. As soon as it's kind of at that scale, one small thing, one very tiny, tiny thing can then impact just a huge number of, a huge amount of crop. So it's a difficult job, no matter what country you're in, quite frankly. But can we talk about, okay, so before, I know we're about 10 minutes out, so I'm looking at that time and I'm going like, but like, let's talk about Potter Valley Dam.
Oh, yeah.
That's your favorite.
Well, and things happened this week, and like, it's kind of fun. So.
Do I have to buy you a T-shirt that says "I love Potter Dam"?
No. Burke said that the Southern California Water District is not is just too late. Sorry, you don't get to try and do this. So. But
it was just a really funny moment. Like, I'm just like, okay, so the weird thing that we like couldn't figure out, we still haven't totally figured out, like, can't even happen. It's really interesting. Like, that whole, I still don't know why, but to be told, like, not only do we never find out, it's like it will be one of the unsolved mysteries. We're just waiting for that to be on the show.
You have to have the book.
Exactly. There'll be a memoir, a Potter Valley Dam memoir.
Well, I mean, just this idea that they were going to take this water and sell it for $8,000 an acre foot. I mean, that's like, that's crazy.
I heard that Dr. Fauci is going to write the foreword for that book.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
How about my favorite talks about golden mussels?
What do you start taking?
More golden mussels. No, DWR has a 3-point plan for addressing golden mussels. That's the story he's referring to.
Yeah.
Yep. No. We've got the immediate, midterm, and long-term strategies. It sounds really nice. I love that for us.
And I guarantee you, a year from now, we'll still be hearing about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not going away. So,
but hey, can we talk for a minute about porous pavement, though? I mean, wow, it's like
right?
I have not been so excited about something in a long time until it got to this porous pavement. But and we're not talking about those kind of driveways with like the little holes in the middle with the dirt grows up and stuff. No. We're talking like asphalt that it has porosity to it that water can sink down into it, and it's crazy good at filtering contaminants. And it to be able to just put there's two types. There's one where it sinks down, it's designed to sink down into the roadbed materials and get filtered through there. And that's very effective. And that can work up to 16 years, the filtering process, that they figured that out. But also just putting a porous pavement overlay over the top of the existing road will also
gives you more
filter it. Yeah. And if you look at this article, you see the picture of what a difference it makes in a rainstorm without all this water kicking up off the pavement. I mean, It's actually safer to drive on, and it doesn't necessarily have increased maintenance costs. I mean,
that's a good deal. That's a good deal.
Maybe Californians could learn to drive in the rain. I don't know. Maybe we'll try.
Hey, don't forget to talk about the beavers.
Oh yes, yeah, the beaver. Well, it's through the beaver article writing that up that I got all excited about porous pavement. But yeah, beavers, they're just amazing what beavers can do in terms of cleaning up water quality and draining stormwater and through their little beaver dams. But you have to give them room around the creeks for them to do their thing. You can't have development right up to the edge of the creek. But when when you can have the beavers in, they do an amazing job of cleaning up the water quality too. They filter a lot through their beaver dams. It's beavers and porous pavement.
Yep. I heard that they're gathering together to join a union.
Yeah, because we can't have anything inexpensive in water. So Rob, your mission, if you choose to accept it, find those porous pavement people.
Okay.
Get them on the show. That's like so our jam right there. Like I have so many questions about how this works, and I'm sure you, Mr. Physicist, have them as well.
I guess I could be technical for one show. No, yes,
I know, right? Like he supposed maybe some technical speak could happen.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm a nerd. What can I tell you? I like that stuff, and I have you ladies on because you make the show, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the drinking water test, because I'm sure every water district is like, not another test. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about that for a hot second. What do we think about this microplastic test?
Well, I'm not. I don't want to sit here and give opinions. I'm not really supposed to give opinions, but I do. I have to say, out of all the contaminant issues there are in the world, microplastics is one that just really, really bothers me. And it doesn't necessarily. I mean, it's not just drinking water. It's how microplastics have pervaded our environment on all levels everywhere, and how we can't even the world cannot come together and see the garbage floating in the ocean and say, we're going to work to make sure no trash goes into the ocean. We can't even do that, Yeah. So, microplastics bugs me, but I'm not sure that drinking water is the place to be addressing it. What's interesting is possibly wastewater. There's a lot of microplastics that shed in washing machines, so there may be a type of filter or something that could be done for wastewater. But yes, but you run a water district, Tara. So what do you say on microplastics?
So I don't run the district yet. Mauricio would have my head, but I do definitely have opinions on testing, and I just feel like we should develop a solution, or at least a framework for a solution to address this before we start building panic into every water supply is now. I think we should learn from the PFAS thing, where we did not have those solutions in place before we started freaking people out. And I think there's every possibility to develop, and they may already exist, but we want to make sure that is what leads the discussion, as opposed to another thing that makes water more expensive, scarier to drink, all of those things.
And the State Water Board is working on standardized testing for microplastics. They have not finished that work. I believe they're still working on it. And, it's not the main focus, I think, of their work right now in their emerging contaminants program. I'm trying to think back, because I wrote about it. There are some things that they're working on there. I'm not sure microplastics was it, but
well, they're working on this proposed ban of forever chemicals for the farms, but it was nixed by state lawmakers.
Yeah, well, PFAS is another thing. It's like microplastics.
Right.
It's everywhere. Not only your water, but everywhere. It's in the ocean. There was a story about how when the waves crash, it aerosols PFAS. I did not know that that the ocean had PFAS in it. It's like that to me is crazy. But
we'll try to say plastic porpoise fast 3 times.
Plastic porpoise, plastic porpoise, plastic porpoise. You're welcome.
She has a T-shirt that says Mauricio's choice for future GM.
I do not.
Well, we all know women really rule the world anyways.
I know. I agree. Ask my wife. She'll tell you that.
Well, speaking of GMs, we have a great GM speaker tonight. I'm very excited about that. My good friend Lance Eckert will be joining us in just a little moment.
Yes.
All right.
We can ask him some good technical questions.
Exactly.
Very smart guy.
Absolutely. Also a science nerd, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to go to a commercial break and then bring Lance on. So that'd be great. So as I always do, Miss Chris Ellen, you are a wonderful lady, and you're the purveyor of Maven's Notebook. And I want to tell all our listeners to go check it out every morning. www.mavensnotebook.com, and find out all the news about water that you want to know, and it's usually firsthand. And I don't know how she does it every single week, but Chris does an awesome job putting that all together. So you can become a subscriber. You can also become a sponsor of that if you'd like. Little notes, it's a 501 charity, so it can be, or nonprofit. You can throw some dollars that way if you'd like, but it keeps on going. And I don't know how many hours there are in a week that she works, because I know it's a whole lot more than what we know it as. So, but we appreciate that. So, Chris, thanks for joining us tonight, and we will be back with you next week.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Donate today.
Yes.
Bye.
Be the one.
Yes.
Be the one.
And you want Bitcoins?
No.
No.
No Bitcoins. Okay. Just checking. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to take our commercial break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sean, one of the coaches on the training team at Site One Landscape Supply. We're here today to reinforce the importance of wireless rain sensors. Once we've installed the controller and the rain sensor interface, we wire it up, plug it in. Your wireless interface will show all the elements. We are then going to place the battery into the transmitter. Now we can see it's in pair mode, it's flashing, and it's looking for the rain sensor, and I am paired. With the growth of smart controllers, some of us thought we could get away without installing wireless rain sensors. But we need that local data that tells us, hey, it's raining, we don't want to be embarrassed by watering in the rain, or over-watering when our plants don't need it. There are many rain sensors to choose from. To select yours today, come on into Site One or see site1.com.
Water is one of the biggest expenses for communities, HOAs, universities, golf courses, and resorts. So keeping those costs under control, especially when rates are increasing while water supplies are being reduced, are often essential to a customer's survival. Managing water requires multiple skills, which is why it's been complicated and difficult until now. AquaTrack brings multiple skills and technologies together to help large system users conserve outdoor water and improve the health of their landscapes. AquaTrack's professionals are certified landscape water managers and certified landscape irrigation auditors. The company offers audit services, upgrade advice, technical expertise, and water use monitoring. We already manage irrigation water for the largest homeowner associations in Arizona, and we're prepared to bring our knowledge and experience to help others, including landscapers and designers. Give us a call and hear how AquaTrack saved one HOA some 430 million gallons of water and $200,000 in annual water expenses. AquaTrack is Arizona-based, and you can reach us at 623-594-8689. That's 623-594-8689.
Welcome back, everybody. So let's introduce Lance Eckert. He's the general manager from San Bernardino Pass Water District. And I'm here today with Rob Starr, also on here. So let's just say hi to Lance and Rob and get everybody on board.
Hi there.
Hey, Lance, how you doing?
Doing great. Yourself?
To start off the question, I'll just do the first one, and then I'm going to let Tara get it because you and her are buds. So talking about growth and future of the pass, San Gorgonio Pass is one of California's pretty much important inland growth areas. How's that growth changing the way the region must think about water?
Yeah, it's a good question. We are historically been some of the highest growth, not by volume, but by percentage in the Inland Empire, and I've seen a lot of economic development. That really started to occur, kind of a story. We've been part of the State Water Project since 1961, but we're at the end of the line, so we had to kind of continue to fund pipe and pull the State Water projects closer and closer to us as we had money to build the pipe and bond and those kinds of things. We started importing water in the early 2000s in Beaumont, and then for the next 15 years, Beaumont absolutely exploded. So I think it's kind of this cause and effect. When you water your economic garden, things happen. And we are expecting to see this happen in Banning and even Cabazon as we continue to march east. So you're not resource limited, at least by water, which is your primary resource. If you are well managed and you've got a good supplemental supply like State Water Project water, and we saw it kind of as a test case in the Beaumont area. So it's really important, especially to the communities that we don't have State Water Project to yet. So again, we've got a big service area, about 200 square miles, and we've only kind of gotten into the western half, and we need to continue to move east into Banning and Cabazon.
Oh. Tara, I know you got some burning questions. Tara? She's gone. But who knows? How can thoughtful water planning instead become a foundation for responsible economic development and strong communities? I know, you guys are involved in lots of things. I think you're the second most investor in Sites Reservoir, and I love that project. I just wish everybody would get on board, the activists on the other side, and just move this ahead to fruition. And I think it's a great project, and I think it's going to help California a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're the third largest investor. It goes Metropolitan, our sister agency next door, San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District, and then the San Bernardino Pass Agency. So we're close. We're right in there, and it's a game changer for us. I mentioned that we started importing water in the early 2000s, well after the State Water Project was kind of, the birth of the State Water Project was, started to go in the 60s. And by the time we started to actually utilize our contract due to mainly environmental restrictions, they say climate change, but it's mainly environmental restrictions. Things like the Endangered Species Act, Clean Water Act, and so forth, they didn't even exist in the 50s and 60s. And those kind of came on in the 70s. And so those have really kicked in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And so the result is basically we get half of what we signed up for in 1961. Big deal. And Sites kind of makes us whole by putting that reservoir up in Northern California and scalping off storm flow, storing it off-site out of the river, off the Sacramento River, and then bleeding it out when we need it. And it's just a very elegant and simple solution to a very big California water problem. And that is an absolute game changer for decades to come for this region. So we thought our investment in the State Water Project in the last 60 years, we're kind of got half of what we paid for. And this is expensive, but it fixes that. And one of the things is we've kind of started to rethink the way we think about water. We always talk about water, it's this much per acre foot and how many hundreds of dollars. We saw in the Beaumont area, it's when you water your economic garden, I think we need to think about the full value of water and everything that it grows. And that's how we're thinking of Sites. We think we're going to be able to water our complete economic garden out here in the San Bernardino Pass area and just thrive. The other thing that's kind of neat is it's going to take us a long time to grow into our project. We've got a big stake in sites and maybe more than we need in the immediate near term. And we're really excited about selling water to agriculture and other municipal entities that may or may not have been part of the sites family, and move that water around to other parts of California for a fair price and to where it's needed the most. So that's one of the most exciting things I think about sites is moving that water around to partners.
So tell me how you feel about the uncertainty surrounding the Delta Conveyance project based on this sort of hefty investment in sites, and why that may matter to you equally as much or more, and what you guys are doing about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're like the rest of the state water contractors participating in Delta Conveyance. It's a slow process in sites. I think it's kind of interesting that sites is being done under a JPA. It's a bunch of farmers in Southern California municipalities getting together and making the project work. The Department of Water Resources and the Bureau of Reclamation are definitely investors in sites, but their hands not on the wheel. It's really a locally driven project. DCP is not, so it's more complicated, a little more bureaucracy. It's going to take a long time to get the tunnels underneath the Delta. But sites saves the water in Northern California before it rushes out to the ocean, and you need the conveyance. We need to finish the conveyance of the State Water Project. It was always contemplated, and this is our newest solution, the tunnel, and that fixes kind of running the environmental gauntlet of the Delta. It takes away a lot of the issues of pumping out of the southern part of the Delta, which was a temporary fix on the State Water Project. It was always envisioned to have conveyance across the Delta. And we're finally getting there, half a century or so later, but it fixes a lot of those environmental problems. So if we don't fix the Delta, we can have all this wonderful water up in sites, but we still have all these environmental restrictions through the Delta. So it fixes capturing the water in the reservoir, moving the water across the Delta through the tunnel. So they're two parts of kind of a larger, they're two parts of one solution. Real important.
Speaking of your kind of conveyance-minded, I know you guys are kind of water movers in the world of water. I know people sort of don't think of that. When they think of an agency, they think of the immediate sort of use. And I feel like San Bernardino Passes has this history of helping other local districts, helping the industry, helping kind of really be the movers of water in Southern California. And one of those things that I know is kind of interesting, especially right now as we're having all these Colorado River negotiations, is you're kind of where the Colorado River meets the State Water Project. So tell me a little bit about kind of what your thoughts are about both the Colorado River and that changing dynamic, and then also how that could potentially interplay with the State Water Project, East Branch extension that I know you guys kind of are tapped into.
Yeah. Well, the State Water Project literally ends up the street from our office here in Beaumont. We have plans to move that water east through the Cabazon area, which is really the next big town is like Indio and the low desert, and the Colorado Aqueduct literally goes right through the east part of our service area, Cabazon. So the things that we would like to do is as we move east, we'd like to make the project as big as possible to potentially tap into the California or the Colorado Aqueduct or the low desert, who are state water contractors but don't receive any state water project water. Again, it ends in my area. So they have to, they do an exchange with Metropolitan, and they take Colorado River water and trade their state water project water and capacity in the state water project to Metropolitan. And that there were a lot of costs that, like, for example, San Gregorio had to take on to move the East Branch further east to finally get to us. That's why it took so long. But as we move east, we don't want to enthusiastically run in the wrong direction. And I think water planning with partners makes the most sense. So it kind of breaks my heart to have a terminus of our pipeline out in Cabazon, and I can actually see the recharge basins from this terminus of the low desert where they get all of their Colorado exchange water. And I can't help but think, wow, if we made the pipe a little bigger and we went 5 more miles, could this low desert actually get state water project water? And that's just prudent water planning. It's expensive. these are early conversations. Not everybody's a fan, but that's a conversation we're having now. And again, the last thing I want to do as a water planner is started running enthusiastically in the wrong direction. And I think we very frequently go back to these projects, and I don't think we ever say, "Man, I wish I made that just a little bit smaller." We never say that. So, we see that over and over and over again. So that's where we're at. We have a dream. We hope other people see the same thing.
With I'm sure all your customers question everything that you guys do, but do they understand that the infrastructure requires one generation to invest for the benefit of others in the following years, and then there's so many possible projects competing for the limited resources, and I'll get to that, or hopefully Tara will ask some questions about money. But how do you decide where to invest, where to partner, and when not to proceed? I mean, being an ex-Californian, I can go in depth, but I won't, about the train to nowhere for years and years and years, and nothing's happened. And I still don't think it's ever going to happen. If it does, it's still not going to be a high-speed train at that point. So how do you see that for the water industry about, hey, we need to invest in things 30, that may come up in 10 or 15 or 20 years, so we're prepared?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a hard question because
yes.
You have your local electeds who are paying their property taxes. They're like, we're going to spend all of our money on X or take out bonds or put it on rates or do whatever, and I'm not going to see it. And that's true. And I think it's part of your culture and part of your strategy is that we will plant trees today under which we will never enjoy the shade. And that's
right.
Just good public work. And part of that is, why I bring it up a lot is that we didn't receive our first gallon of state water project water until 40 years later. And so, and now we absolutely have to have it to have the society that we have out here. We would not exist without it. So, that's a couple generations or so of people investing and not, seeing the benefit. And that's the kind of perspective that you have to have. We have a lake out here. It's off the San Bernardino Mountains. It's Silverwood Lake. If you're not local, you won't know it. But if you are local, you go, oh yeah, that's where I water, ski, and fish. And a lot of people don't realize that it was named after Ted Silverwood, San Bernardino Pass's first board president, and he was an apostle for the State Water Project, and was very important on having us sign up back in the '60s. And passed away quickly after the agency was formed and the State Water Project kicked off, and they subsequently named the lake after him in his honor. And we very frequently on these types of large generational decisions that are going to be years and years, and we might not be around to see them. We ask, okay, is this a Ted Silverwood moment? Is this the type of choice we need to make? And we try to honor our first board president in keeping that kind of perspective in the decisions, these types of large decisions. You have to do it. Otherwise, it's never going to get done.
Right.
Well, and speaking of kind of this Ted Silverwood moment, one of the things that I've noticed that San Bernardino Pass does a lot, because the last time I heard that was at a collaborative meeting, you guys collaborate really, really well with other agencies. And so tell me a little bit about some of the collaboration successes that you guys have had and how that's really helped shape the district as it stands today, because I know in the past that was definitely not the case. So now you guys are kind of working with other people, and I think that's a really interesting and important thing for other water agencies, water leaders, and people generally interested in water to hear. Yeah,
well, I think partnerships are the new water in California. There's a lot of efficiency. We're a drip emitter at the end of the line. It starts out, State Water project starts out as a beautiful lake, Lake Oroville, with millions of acre feet in it. It's gorgeous, and it ends up the street from me as a manhole cover, with a 30-inch pipeline or 36-inch pipeline with a blind flange. So, you realize that, we can't take large gulps of water because we're so far out in the system. And again, this is a Toro podcast, so you guys will understand. We're at the end of the line, and we're a drip emitter. So there you go. So when there is water available, we have to have partners like agriculture who can take big gulps of water quickly, and they can store it or use it and trade that water back. And so, or we look for people that are higher up in the system that can take, again, large drafts of water. And then we just do sales and trades, and we think that there's a little bit of a free market aspect, but not the Gordon Gekko from Wall Street, greed is good type. It's more of like, hey, let's move some water. Let's leave some water behind for you. We'll trade it back. We'll pay, a fair price, and do it in such a way where everybody feels like they got a win-win. You do this over and over again, you start to realize that people have assets and other people have liabilities when it's raining. And if you get along, and people that can store will store your water and leave a little bit behind for them for future use, and trade some water with some money, everybody wins. You start to eke out a lot of operational efficiency out of this, huge investment the state's made. But we're so siloed that we just go, oh, it rained and we can only move so much water, so we guess we missed it. We missed the harvest. Well, maybe next year, and that's not the way to do it. You pick up the phone and you start calling your friends and you're like, hey, can you take 5,000 acre feet real fast? And they're like, yeah, well, if you leave some behind and throw some cash at it, and we'll trade it back later. And you're like, absolutely. And that's, but you got to move because the atmospheric rivers come in. So, a lot of it's building trust with not only staff, but your boards. So when you have an emergency board meeting, or you run in with your hair on fire and it's raining, and you say, we've got to move this water quick, we got to do this deal, the board is like, oh, we're doing a deal with so-and-so. They go, I really like those guys. Yeah, let's do it. And so that speed of trust is really important. I think we're going to see that more and more, but we've been able to save people's water before they were going to lose it in reservoirs that were overtopping. And we've done that a couple times for folks in Northern California, and either trade water or money. It's both kind of the same thing. And you do it quickly, and you preserve a lot of people's, assets. That's, we can move their water before it goes out to the ocean, and they couldn't use it, and it just would have been lost. So we take their water, they get a check, everybody's happy, and that water would have gone out to the ocean otherwise. And so we just need a lot more of that.
So just like human aging infrastructure, it's move it or lose it?
Move it or lose it. Yeah, move it or lose it. And there's a lot of water in California. It's just not all in the right places. And, if you can work with people who are in the right places and can move that water, and you can make deals quickly, or you have relationships before it starts raining, and when it starts raining, you've got staff and board who can throw something together real quick, you can preserve a lot of water. That's why, these, not being siloed and developing these relationships are really important. It matters, and it moves the needle. Again, there's a lot of water in California, and there's a lot of water we don't use in California because we're not efficient, and we're not moving it around to other Californians who can help.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's what you're talking about. You're balancing the urgency with disciplined decision making and stuff. But for our listeners, just to let them know, not only are you the general manager, but you're also a professional hydrogeologist. And I
the science nerd. I told you.
I know.
Science nerd.
But how does your background influence the way you approach leadership and long-term strategy for how you run that? And I'm very happy that you are the GM. Like I said, I met you years ago, and I thought you're a rising star, but you do know your stuff, and I'm glad you're a technical person as well. So.
Well, thanks. I don't know if all that's true, but I appreciate the confidence. I am a professional geologist, certified hydrogeologist. So I've got my licenses, and for many years I really was the principal scientist for another state water contractor out in the high desert. And I think one of the things that I think is incredibly powerful, especially in Southern California, is we kind of don't give the natural infrastructure of the geology the credit that it's due. And what I mean by that is groundwater basins are massively important if they're used correctly. And because they can store water, and it'll sit around for years. It's protected. Water quality is good. It's in the ground, safe, sanitary, doesn't move away very fast. And so I'll give you an example. Since the last drought, our recharge basins have not been off except for some maintenance, for cleaning and scraping the bottom so the recharge rates go up again. And we, besides those little dry out and scrape out periods so we can recharge more water, we have been full since 22. And so for the last 4 years, we've been recharging as much water as we possibly can. If people have a little excess water, like our Northern California folks who say, hey, it's raining, I'm going to lose my share, the water, it's going to, going to go out to the ocean. Like, we'll take it, put it in the aqueduct, send it on down. And our basins have been stacking water in the groundwater basin for the last 4 years. Why? Because during a drought, I don't care if there's no water in the State Water Project water. We're completely insulated. The water is already delivered here in our local groundwater basins. And so that's really effectively using and buying the water ahead of time and telling your boards, like, you need to budget for this, and we might not sell this water for a number of years, but the water's here now, and it might not, I can't guarantee it's going to be in the future, but I guarantee that we're going to have people wanting water as humans in the future. You better budget for it and move as much water as you possibly can into your local groundwater basins. And again, because it's protected in this natural infrastructure that's already built by whatever higher power you want to subscribe to, that is a massive asset, and it completely insulates us from the drought cycle. So I think it's really, really important to utilize your local basins. And again, for us, drought, we don't really care. We'll just top off the basin the next time it rains.
Well, I'm sure you know as well as I do that most water discussions around water begins with scarcity and conflict. And now that there's coming up a I don't know who's going to be, Becerra or Hilton, to be the next governor, they come to your office and say, hey, Lance, you're going to be the czar of water for the whole state. What do you think is the top 3 issues that need to be immediately addressed? I know there's more than 3, but I think, to me, I like short lists that you take care of the first 3 and you move on to the next 3. But what do you see that has to be done?
Top 3, okay. All right, and didn't think about this one. All right, let me give it to you. Let me go off let me just riff. Storage. That's for one. California's got lots of water. It's got a problem of geography and people, and I think that was by Edmund Pat Brown, who got the State Water Project started. The State Water Project corrects the problem of geography and people. And the geography is it's wet in Northern California, there's a lot of water, and it's dry in Southern California. We need to store the water before it goes out to the ocean. There are periods where this state gets a tremendous amount of water, but for some reason we cannot get surface storage built reasonably. And sites is an exception, but sites is done through a JPA, a Joint Powers Authority made up of water districts. And it's not the state and it's not the Fed. And why did it work here and you can't make it work there? We've got a whole bunch of surface water sites on the books. There was a whole bunch of Prop 1 money back in 2014 that didn't get spent except for sites. Sites is the only reservoir that's going to get built. There's a whole list of them. Why can't we build storage? That's one. We have water, we just can't hold on to it. 2, I think we need to finish the State Water Project. That's the conveyance through the Delta. The Delta is an environmental gauntlet. It's going to get worse. It just hasn't gotten better, so you expect it to get worse over time. And for the 4th largest economy in the world, that I think is, the fuel is water, is that, I think that's inexcusable. I think we need to get that project built and figure it out. It's a very expensive project. I think that you really want to, okay, you asked what I think. I think the Fed needs to write a check for the Delta conveyance. They're a big part of it. And the reason is a lot of taxpayer dollars goes towards Washington. We are the 4th largest economy on the planet. Why can't we get our water situation sorted out with Fed help to support that economy? In addition, it supports about 750,000 acres of farmland. So there's a food security issue. Farmers are always struggling with the cost of water and paying for these large projects. Municipal folks can spread the cost of large generational projects over our ratepayers, which is, for Southern California, it's millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Farmers have a totally different business model, and we need to understand that. And they're expected to participate with the same structure that the municipalities have. They can just put it on rates, and they're trying to go through and have a completely different business model. That's a problem. So that's number 2. We need to finish the
number 3
has
to be 30 seconds or less because we're running out of time.
Number 3, we need to work more together and partner to marry our strengths and weaknesses, because even as smaller agencies, we've got a lot of power when we work together.
Beautiful.
Great. Well, Lance, thank you very much for joining. We got to turn it over to NBC for their news hour. We do appreciate it. We'd love to have you come back and follow up some stuff and track what you guys are doing. We do appreciate it, and I know Tara was excited when she saw the booking, and we're very happy that you took the time to call into the show.
It's been a pleasure anytime. Take care.
Thanks. And the most important thing that we have to tell our listening audience is,
remember, if you like green,
you gotta have blue. So good night, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. You have a good weekend and safe one.
NBC News on KCAA.